What's our opening going to be? We got the black pieces, and we're facing e4. I see a little bit of everything. I truly see a little bit of everything. All right, I'll play c6. Karo Khan. I saw that a lot. Well, guys, I would ask for your help, but I don't need it anymore. After seeing this trash opening, we're good. We're good. I think I can handle it from here. Karo Khan, you always play c6 d5, so it's not unusual. Now, obviously, there are a few ways to play this, but I'm going to play in the most goon playstyle possible. You want to offer me a pawn? I'm going to take it. Simple as that. Okay, so he's attacking. Let's say I bring this this knight out or this bishop out. Whichever one I don't do now, I'm probably going to do next turn. Trying to think of a reason why maybe I wouldn't. But kind of having trouble. It looks pretty reliable. It looks pretty reliable. So let's say we start with a knight. Knight f6. Easy move. Okay. So the pawn is being threatened. And the nice thing about my pawn on c6 is I don't have to worry about this check. Sometimes if you play bishop f5 here, this would be an issue. But as it stands right now, I think bishop f5 and queen d4 are both pretty good moves here. They both look pretty good. The reason I like bishop f5 more than queen d4 is, let's say that white plays this. Takes, knight takes. I don't want to have my queen there handing a tempo to my opponent. So I'm probably going to prefer to start with the bishop. And if I need to make another move to defend this pawn, then maybe with the queen. Okay, so we can see what the plan is. It's not only g4, but after the bishop moves, maybe g5. This knight will be dislodged, and then the pawn will be won. Okay, I see your idea. Now it's up to me to handle it. Queen d4 might get ready for this just fine. But also h5 just stops the idea altogether. So both look very, very tempting. If you ask me, I see two good moves here. h5 and queen d4. So which one do we like? I mean, you could also make the argument e6, g4, g5, knight d5, knight e4, takes, queen takes g5 is just good as well. Right? That's also nothing to be concerned about. But I think white can try in those lines with h4, and it gets a little bit scary. It gets a little bit scary. So yeah, h5 is looking pretty damn good. Queen d4. I mean, if g4, g5, I don't think that's what I'm concerned about. I think what I'm looking at in those variations is probably always going to be queen d4, f3. That's the only thing I'm really looking at, I think. Because then takes, and I don't like my queen on that square. Doesn't feel great. So let's have a think. Because h5, f3, I think I need an answer there. Takes, and am I happy with pawn on h5? I don't actually think it's that good. So I'm leaning more towards queen d4, simply on account of the fact that after g4, I don't think I'm that scared of this. And if he doesn't play g4 and he plays f3, I think I'd rather have this than h5. So we'll see how this plays out. Oh. Well, why didn't you say so? Why didn't you say this was your plan? Oh, buddy, I wouldn't have agonized over that last move. You want to trade queens after giving me a pawn? Please. You're too kind. Far too kind. Well, we could delay it with e5, but ultimately, knight e2 is about to happen, so we're going to have to take anyway. So I think probably just capture. The only thing after capturing that we need to make sure we have under control is our e-pawn. We just don't want it to have too many attackers. I think we're okay. So we'll start by taking. Curious which one he takes with. Probably this one, in my opinion, to be the most combative. But he wants to just make a symmetrical position. But now we're absolutely going to play h5 to stop g4. Our next idea is like knight d7, e6. That knight reaches c5. The most he can do is attack this pawn twice. It's not going to be good enough, though. It's not going to be good enough. So h4 simply stops the whole knight move. But if he plays knight there and we go back, I don't really think that's too bad either. More decisions. Yeah. Let's continue. h4. Not going to allow this. Knight d4 can happen, but the bishop steps back. There's two pieces that are watching over this pawn, and there's only one attacking. And yeah, even if you could add another piece, you still wouldn't be threatening it. So black has a lot of leeway here. Knight d7. Of course, we have e6 as well. It's kind of weird, but if you play knight e2, you actually trap your own knight as far as I can see. Let's get this piece out. Intend knight c5. Any kind of pawn push, we're happy to see. Castle. Bishop e7 next. Knight c5 is always there, but remember, knight c5, you can play bishop c4 at any point, so it's not really forcing. That's what I want to say. Okay, let's just develop. So all our pieces are out. We've got that extra pawn. We used our h-pawn really nicely to h5 to stop g4 and to h4 to stop knight g3. So two ways that he could have added pressure to the pawn have been denied, and now the pieces just aren't doing that much. Knight on d4 looks okay, but isn't going anywhere. These pieces aren't going anywhere either. Pawns really do a good job stopping all of the squares. So goes back knight e2. The idea might be to go knight f4, but guess what? Once that happens, we just move our bishop, and he doesn't have any more threats. So, not going to be too worried about that. Perhaps knight e5 is the move. Hitting the bishop, forcing it back to b3 or a2. I'm actually okay with knight f4. I want to see that. Then I'll play bishop f5 and g5. Okay. Might be time for something like king c7. If I go bishop f5 now, there's knight back to d4, which is kind of why I'm avoiding that move for the moment. Let's go here. Knight f4, bishop f5 is ready and waiting. Now g5 to hit the knight will be coming up next. It's hard to push either one of these pawns because we're always ready to take. g5 will take even more space next turn. So I'm pretty much doing this one no matter what. Gravity salad, it sounds like you had the g5 idea. Maybe just a little early. It's a good move, though. It'll always be a good move. So you're on the right track. Let's kick the knight out, number one. This bishop move is pretty irrelevant. Okay, so yeah, we don't want to play b5 because that would walk into bishop a5. So I'm keeping this pawn here for the b6 move. Could be a good move to just play b6 now. In fact, I might do it, but those are the moves I'm thinking of. This knight currently dominated on all those squares. Now I'm thinking c5. So bishop a5 is covered by b6. Knight d4 is covered by this pawn now. Maybe you could go knight c3, try to go knight b5, but that's just one square. Like I can cover it with a pawn or with my king even. So I kind of like how the move c5 just covers everything. Okay, bishop c3. So a threat, but one thing this move does is it actually traps the knight. I can't play b5 just yet because of bishop a5 check. But it's worth noting that the knight on a4 is now technically trapped. Bishop a5 has been kind of annoying. So you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of maybe taking this and then defending this knight with like knight d7, for example. And I think I like the look of that. It gives up the d file, but I don't really think there's any need to keep the d file. And now, without a rook there, I think I'm looking at this even more. Knight c6 would run into knight c5, takes, and bishop f6. So I think I'm gonna. Oh wait a minute, I was gonna go here, but actually created a tactic for myself. I might still do it because I think it still works. But it doesn't work the exact same way that I wanted. This one is gonna be technically a better move here. So yeah, normally I would go here, rook d7, knight d7, bishop takes, rook takes. But I just traded rooks. Arcbat or arcball, the knight c6. Same tactic I just told you. It was the exact same thing last turn. I don't think anything has changed here. So the reason I'm saying this might still work is rook takes, king takes, bishop takes, f6. If the bishop goes to c3, the knight's lost. So the bishop actually must go all the way back to h2. And I think we can kind of like force every single piece backwards here. So it could be like an interesting example. Rook and 2 pieces against 4 minor pieces. But that's not really what I'm supposed to do with the position, I think. I kind of like it. Not going to lie. I kind of like it. So rook takes, king takes, bishop takes, f6, bishop h2, and I'm going to have a few moves I can play. For example, I have b5, c4, just some space gainers. So I think I'm going to give it a try. The only reason I'm thinking that it could work is because there's not really any places for those pieces to sink their teeth in. It's a rapid game. He's got 12 minutes. I think he can muster up rook takes d7. First of all, I should also say, if I was white here, I would absolutely play rook takes d7. There's no question. Because you're down a pawn here as white, so absolutely take this opportunity. But I'm a little bit hopeful that it could be instructive here. I'm holding out hope. Hey, there it is. No matter what, you got to give Buddy a shout out for just playing it, for finding it. Because like I said, I mean, I would have done it too as white. You have to play that way. So very well done. His next move is going to be just as important though, because if he goes here, it's like all his progress is lost. So there we go. Bishop to h2. Good stuff. I'm going to follow up with my space gaining idea. Here. Double check. Could decide to bring the king up first. Don't know if that helps or not. And maybe he plays c4. So yeah, better to gain the space immediately. And like, yeah, with all the pawns here, there's just not a lot of space on my opponent's side of the board. If I go c4, my pawn is hanging. And if I defend it, the knight comes to d4. So I don't want this knight to jump in. I'm probably going to start with just a6. Keep in mind, rook here. It's actually not possible. Bishop d6, I would not mind that trade of pieces at all. And remember, I am going to have a bit of a breakthrough on the king side, right? We are going to have a g4 kind of move in the future, but we'll see what we can do here. Okay, knight g1, and for example, what do you guys think knight g1 intends, right? Knight g1, whole lot of nothing. Might want to do this to take and have the knight take back. But you can hopefully see the point that we're really starting to squeeze the pieces. And they just don't have any space to operate. Okay, so c4, definitely tempting here. Start with that. So now both bishops are pretty much out of commission. And my next move, which might be surprising, is going to be bishop here. I know it looks silly because it's like, well, that bishop's not that great. But if he has two bishops, it's very hard for me to use my king at all in the endgame. It's hard for me to operate. So I feel that I need to trade at least one of the bishops so that I can finally use my king. Like my king is going to go to e5 or c5 to help these pawns push. It's going to be very valuable. It also allows me to go rook b8. This knight's still pretty bad. Yes, it can go to e2, but remember, I have another pawn that is ready to take control of those knight squares. My goal for this game is to try to just restrict the pieces. No, not a disconnect. Get this guy back here. This is an interesting position. I mean, I think I'm better. I'm enjoying my position, but there's a lot that white can still do. Get this guy back here. Okay, there's a minute 20. No, he'll be back. He'll be back. I have faith. There he is. There he is. Yes, he fought through. Jason Cassidy, Hamster Ham. You guys are talking about the servers being... No. Servers don't affect my friend here. They don't affect a guy like Melchizedek. Okay? I think that's clear. So, what move am I thinking about here? I'm really thinking about King E5. I'm really considering it. Just getting active in the middle. Of course, the only other move would be to take, and so that line would be something like takes, and maybe G4. Because we have to start making some threats, doing something with the position. Oh, did he disconnect? King E5. Unfortunately, I'm not threatening anything, so he can just bring the pieces in. So I'm probably going to go here because it's more direct. And by the way, both are playable. Just pawn takes looks a little bad. Oh no, I'm disconnected. Oh no, he hit me with the gambit. He pulled a fast one. Wait, we're both disconnected. Oh my goodness. Who has a stronger connection? Shoot, is he got the last move in. Oh, I'm back. Yes. Yes. Stronger connection. Let's get back in there. Still have one bar going strong. Here we go. Buddy cannot compete with my one bar right now. This has turned into a side quest. We're trading blows here. Okay, I'm going to play a very special set. So it's a set from someone named Thomas Lazara, and it's a set that he played in a hot air balloon. And the reason that it's special is because when we went to Germany, we went in the same hot air balloon. Close to my heart. We won. There we go. Very nice. Massive KO there. Huge, huge. Now, first of all, is this the best move? Absolutely not, but I knew it when I did it. Number one, it was a little bit of a test. Could he find the move? He did. Very impressed. But then here, I was also kind of interested to play this position. I think it's very interesting. Like 4 pieces against 2 pieces and a rook, but I also have a pawn, and most importantly, I just have so much space. F3. What's the eval? In the final position, it's -1. Right here, it's -0.8. Which is why I was saying, like, you know, just the better player is going to win. Like, a good player will be able to play both sides of this position pretty well. It's definitely the kind of advantage for black where you could be outplayed by white for sure, because the 2 pieces for rook you can always outplay. But he hit us with the hillbilly attack. Oh, I'm reconnecting again. Good thing the game is over.